Over my years as a realtor in Waterloo region, I've had the pleasure of meeting plenty of successful person. Here are some of their stories. Welcome to People Around Town. So we're here, People Around Town. I am excited to bring you guys. This is Chris Welker, licensed insolvency trustee with Welker and Associates. I have the jingle going in my head right now. It's nice, it's quick, it gets to the point, and I guess it helps people envision happier days, which is, I guess, what people do when they come to you, right?
That's the idea, or the hope anyway, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the jingle's been very effective. Lots of people singing it. So yeah. Kids in my son's class, they'll sing it to us when we go pick them up from school. So
money problems go away at welker.ca.
I didn't sing it. I did not sing it. It's not my singing.
But your wife could, though.
She probably could. Yeah. She's a great singer.
She should get involved with like the Glee choir and then just read like a new version of it, or like it could be like summer themed and.
Little country music, put a little twang on it.
For sure.
Could be interesting. You never know.
I think you got some options there. So I just think this is well, I guess it's timely. People need you when they need you. But the economy seems to be changing right now. I know I get some phone calls from people that are looking to sell, not because they want to, but they sort of feel the writings on the wall, if you will. At what stage do people need to talk to you, or I don't know, what do you find like people are coming to visit you at like different stages in the cycle, or is it normally a life event or something poignant that causes them to reach out?
I mean, it really depends. There's a lot of different circumstances. I always use the analogy of swimming, right? So, I mean, if people look at their bills at the end of a month, right? And they add up the total that they owe. And if they do that, a few months into the future, if they can see that balance is clearly coming down, well, then they're swimming, right? They're getting out, they're making progress. There's a pathway out. If people are continually seeing that balance increase, they're drowning, right?
Right.
Those people are actually in probably a better position than the worst case scenario is those folks that are treading water, where they feel like they're swimming, they aren't getting harassed by creditors, they're not being bothered for payments, there's no real pressure on them to take action, but they're stuck in a cycle that they're just never going to be able to get out of on their own. And so, coming back to what you asked, like, when do people call us? It really depends. I mean, different people recognize that they're in trouble at different points. Most people who we talk to will come back and say, hey, I should have called you 6 months ago. I should have called you a year ago. I didn't know that this was an option. I've been, struggling for so long. I think it is hard, because I think it's hard for people to acknowledge that they're in that position and that they do need help. I always tell people when I speak to them, I'm like, you've already done the hardest part.
Is realize.
You reached out, right?
Yeah.
You made the first step, and now we got to see what we can do to fix the problem.
Right.
Once people sort of get an understanding of that, usually it's pretty simple then, because, I mean, anytime you're dealing with debt or money, it's just math, right? Like,
True.
It can be a very stressful situation, very emotional decision, but at the end of the day, the solution is just math, right? It either works or it doesn't. And so when people understand that, then the decision becomes pretty easy. And the decision happens usually pretty quickly once we're able to sort of start the conversation and figure out what's going on, right? And what people need.
So you have there's debt consolidation and bankruptcy are the two sort of primary ways out, if you will.
So
what are the other options, and I guess what are the differences? What are the break points for those different?
So a traditional debt consolidation would be like a debt consolidation loan from a bank. Now that's not something we do. It's an option that we discuss with people. The challenge with traditional debt consolidation is that most people who would benefit from a debt consolidation can't get one.
Oh, right.
Because getting a debt consolidation, number one, you have to apply for credit and be approved. And if you have a bunch of credit issues, it's unlikely someone's going to give you a new unsecured line of credit at a lower rate than what you currently have, right? So that's the first problem. The second thing is that very often, even if you were able to get approved for that debt consolidation loan, the payments with all the interest and everything else would be too much anyway, right?
Correct.
So one of the biggest issues for people is that when they're struggling with debt, there's usually one creditor that's really poking at them, right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Right.
But that doesn't solve the problem. And so part of our job when we're helping people is to look at the whole picture and say, hey, look, you know what, I get that this guy's bothering you, or that this person has tried to take legal action, or whatever the case may be. That's not really the issue. It's one of the problems, but we need to fix the whole problem, because even if you pay this guy and you keep him at bay, what about the next one?
Next one's
and the one after that, and the one after that. So we need to fix the whole problem. And so it's helping people to sort of take a different view, a different approach. So in terms of our services, I mean, there's two main things that we do. One's something called a consumer proposal, which is a legislated debt settlement. So with a consumer proposal, basically what happens is it stops the interest. It prevents the creditors from taking any type of legal or collection action. Doesn't matter where they're at in that process, whether they've threatened collection activity, whether they've actually gone to court and already obtained their judgment, they're even garnishing wages already. It stops immediately once the proposal's filed.
All right.
It consolidates all the debt into one payment, and it allows a process to settle the debt for some percentage of what people owe. Now, when we do these type of settlements, the creditors aren't accepting these deals because I can do magic. It's not because I've got an amazing negotiating skill. It's just math, right? The creditors are making a business decision, and they're choosing to accept the settlement versus what they think they might get if the individual were to go bankrupt. Well, it's not always nothing.
Sure.
Bankruptcy often results in creditors getting something. I mean, people think if I go bankrupt, my creditors get nothing. That's not true.
Well, no, because you still might have some assets.
Assets, income, whatever, right? So there could be money in the pot. So it's a matter of, usually when we're looking at doing some type of settlement, the step one is to figure out what might be available for creditors if there was a bankruptcy, and then how much more than that do we need to offer creditors to entice them to take the proposal. That's kind of the idea. So that's sort of that's one of the most common. I'd say that's the majority of our business. Probably about 60-70% of the people we help will file
the consumer proposals.
Consumer proposal to settle the debt. And it's a very effective way. And the advantages, I mean, versus a traditional debt consolidation, even if the person could qualify, is with the consolidation, you're paying back 100% of the amount owed, plus interest. They're not going to give you a free loan to pay off the debt.
Right.
With a consumer proposal, there's no interest on the settlement amount. And it's a settlement. It's a compromise of the total. So if someone owes $100,000, they're going to pay back $25,000, right?
So then, a debt consolidation, that's, I guess, far earlier you would go into something like that. Or maybe you just need to almost just talk to somebody and just lock in and do what you need to do if that's truly the case.
I think it's hard for people if they're not familiar with the different options to sort of make a choice on their own. I mean, often people who are struggling with financial issues, their first stop will be to go to their bank. Right?
Correct.
But I mean, I say, well, all the bank can do is give you more debt, right?
That's
it's
true.
It's like an alcoholic going to a bartender, right? I mean, he can only give you another drink. Like it doesn't solve the problem.
It'll go away for a second, but boy,
it doesn't fix the problem, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, trying to understand what those options look like is really important, and I think a lot of people don't even really understand what options are possible, right? And that's sort of the first step. So, I mean. Don't get me wrong, debt consolidation can work in some cases, generally if the person is not insolvent. So somebody, they have a house that's worth $1 million, they've got a $500,000 mortgage.
Sure.
There's a pile of equity there, right? They owe $50,000 on credit cards. They're not going bankrupt or doing a proposal, right? That individual has to consolidate their debt, get a second mortgage, home equity line of credit, whatever, right? So there are circumstances where those kind of arrangements make sense. For anyone who is insolvent, where their debts exceed their assets.
The swimming pool analogy again.
Yeah, it comes back to the swimming pool, right? I mean, and like I said, like the person who's digging out or swimming, that person, good for them. They're going to get out, right? They've got a path where there's light at the end of that tunnel. The person who's drowning, I always say they're probably in the second best position because they will reach out and get help because they're drowning. They have to. They need help. They have no choice. They recognize there's a problem and they need to get some assistance to deal with it. This person who's treading water, that's a dangerous one because they can do that forever.
Yeah, it just gets actually worse and worse and worse and worse.
Well, it doesn't even necessarily get worse, it just doesn't get better, right? It can stay flat.
The chance of it getting better. And living with that stress, in which case
It just doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
Right? And so those people I find are the most in the worst position because they have the most difficulty sort of understanding or identifying the issue that they have. Right?
True.
And then when they call and they say, well, here's what I've got. Well, I'm managing. But yeah, you are. I mean, you don't have collection calls. And lots of the people who we help, I think people are always surprised. I tell them they have excellent credit when they come in our office. Their credit rating is fabulous. They haven't missed a payment.
Yes.
Because you can borrow from Peter to pay Paul. You can maintain your payments. You can, pay those minimum monthly payments on credit cards for a long, long time.
Right.
But I mean, if you look on a credit card statement, on every statement now, they have to show how many of these. If you pay the minimum, it will take 149 years and 6 months to pay this debt. Right.
Yes.
So
that doesn't work.
No. I had one lady I remember years ago. She had her statement and she goes, yeah, it says on here, it'd take me 149 years. I don't think I'm going to live that long.
So, no, of course. So really the thought is like, it's actually the smart people that are reaching out to you. The way I look at it, because I'm sure there's still plenty of people right now, and that's, firstly, I'm sure there's some people that aren't even calculating what their swimming pool looks like.
I would agree.
I'm sure of it. And then there's some other people just with their head in the sand, hoping it goes away.
Yeah.
Even myself, thinking about some clients that came to me and luckily they had equity in their home, it came to a point where it was like the husband had to flat out tell the wife, like, we're not doing good here. Like, we're not doing good here. Like, maybe the business might have been great a while ago, but it's no bueno now. And it's kind of like, you're right, the main thing is calling you to come and to just see what can be done and not handling it themselves. Because to me, it's the smart people that are actually reaching out to you.
Well, I think it's like anything.
Like, to me, that's the smartest decision you can make if you...
I think it's like anything. I mean, knowledge is power.
Right.
If you understand what your options are, if you understand what you're dealing with, and you recognize that there are different ways to solve the problem, then that, whether you move forward with one of the options that my firm offers, or you figure out through our conversation that there's a better solution or something else that you could do to deal with it.
Your conversation is at the same time as a reality check.
Yeah, basically,
because you pull everything in.
Yeah.
You could go and see Louis down the street, give him a sample of your blood just so he can track you whenever you want to. But I don't think Louis is the answer either.
Well, I probably not.
I don't. There is no Louis that I know of in this.
I don't know who Louis is either.
But there's different sort of like debt, I guess private lenders out there that they're happy to do it as long as they'll give you money as long as they get their 15 points on it or whatever.
And sometimes that's the best deal, or that is the best option for some people, right? In different circumstances. And I think that's the key, is that each situation is different, and people need to understand the options that are available to them and why one option or another may be better or worse for them, and what they can do to deal with their situation. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what you do. There just has to be light at the end of that tunnel, right? There's different ways, obviously. With any problem, there's different ways to solve the problem. It's what's feasible, what makes the most sense,
right? What
options are available. And I think part of the issue is that people don't understand what those options look like. There's some fear around calling or contacting someone like myself, although we try to make it as simple and painless as possible. Most of the time, our initial consultations are phone calls that last, anywhere around 15, 20, 30 minutes, right? Depending on the complexity. And it's just a matter of sort of having a conversation to say, hey, well, what are you dealing with, right? And it's non-judgmental. It's, just a matter of going through it. And I think once people understand, and they can see the different solutions, well, then it's up to them to make an informed choice and decide how they want to deal with their situation.
So I can personally say this is the first time that Chris was nice enough to agree to come and meet with us through a couple mutual friends. This is Chris. This is the same guy. I'd be happy talking to him about pretty much anything. So just letting you know that this is. I'm just signing off on him. Watty says he's good. So this has been a family business for a while. Is it Has there been, and economies and markets go up and down.
Yeah.
Do you almost feel that you guys could be like a key indicator of, like, based upon calls that come in, does it stay flat, or as markets and economies fluctuate, I'd almost think you guys would be like a leading indicator.
I would actually,
the GDP numbers come in, like, it's kind of like based upon.
I would argue we're a trailing indicator.
You're a trailing, okay.
A massively trailing indicator.
Okay,
because we're not the first call.
Okay,
right?
enough.
So we probably should be the first call, or we should be an earlier call in the process. I mean, generally speaking, people will exhaust all of their other options before they call us, right? They'll cash out their RSPs. They'll borrow money from family. They'll try to get some kind of consolidation loan that they may need a co-signer for. They'll sell assets, sell property, and maybe that's fine, but again, it comes back to what I said earlier, which is you have to solve the whole problem, right? So somebody owes $100,000 and they've got 20 grand in their RSP. Yeah, you can cash that out, and that'll probably buy another 6 months, but it doesn't fix the problem.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And had we spoken before you cashed it out, I would have told you to leave that RSP where it is, because there are assets that are protected from creditors that they can't touch. RSPs are one of them, right?
Okay. What else?
And well, common ones like a vehicle, right? You're allowed to have equity in a vehicle up to $7,113.
Oh, so it's equity. It's not the value.
Yeah,
of the vehicle.
You could have a $100,000 car. If there's a $95,000 lien against it, that equity is less than the exemption. And I mean, assuming you can afford the $95,000 car loan payment,
right?
You can keep that asset through the process. I mean, there's a bunch of exemptions: furniture, personal belongings. Just trying to think of other examples. Tools of trade, stuff people use to earn an income,
yes,
right? Like you've got somebody who's a roofer and they've got equipment that they use to perform their job. Those are exempt. There's some limitations on the values and different amounts, but yeah, generally speaking, the whole process here. I think the thing that people need to understand about insolvency generally is that it's not designed to be punitive.
True.
Like the Canadian insolvency legislation, if you read it, which I don't recommend, it looks like a phone book. It's not very interesting. It's not great reading.
Leave it to the
professionals. Just that one on the back of your toilet. When you come back, I don't.
On your bedstand.
Yeah, on the bedstand.
Tough time sleeping. Don't need melatonin.
Prop the door open. Like no, the thing. It's thick and it's not very interesting. But in the very beginning of the legislation, I mean, the legislation is designed to allow an honest but unfortunate debtor to get a fresh start.
Okay.
That's the premise of it. And so when courts interpret that legislation, and as we sort of have progressed in sort of building the different processes, that's the underlying theme. I mean, it's not there to try to punish somebody. If you got into debt.
So say that again. What's the first line? I guess we could cut it.
Yeah, to allow an honest but unfortunate debtor the opportunity to get a fresh start.
Wonderful.
Right? So the premise is, I mean, if you think about it, what's the point of having a citizen in our society crushed under debt?
True.
They're not a productive member of society. They're, So if we can help to alleviate that burden without disregarding the fact that they had this debt and we have to treat their creditors fairly, and you're trying to balance the rights of different stakeholders. But the legislation is really there to protect and assist the debtor, right? To allow them to get free of that burden so they can go on and be a more productive member of society. That's the whole premise. I mean, that's what it's built to do.
So to me, this is, I'll level with you. Your job before this seemed boring as all get out, okay? But what I'm seeing here is it's like you actually, it's got to be pretty fulfilling. Right? When they leave and the job is done, they're no doubt in a better position than they were when they reached out to you.
100%. I mean, part of what I've always loved about my job is with a few strokes of a pen, I can have a massive impact, positive impact
on families,
on people's lives.
Yeah.
no doubt are in a better position
Right.
when we're done working with them
Yep.
than when they walk through our doors, right? And I, you know, the line I use is, I'm like a doctor. I didn't break your leg, but I can fix it.
Right.
Right? I mean, the people coming, because people always say, oh, your job has to be so depressing. You're dealing with all these people that are
At
struggling.
first it is, but if you see a light.
Well, but I don't think a doctor's job is depressing.
Right.
I mean, they deal with sick and hurt and, you know, people
Yeah.
with different issues who come in, but it's a matter of saying, okay, how can I make this better for you?
Right.
You've got a problem.
Right.
You know you've got a problem. I can see you have a problem.
Right.
Let's fix it.
Well, Doc, if you need me in on that jingle, I'm in. This has been eye-opening to me. So it's kind of something personal to a lot of people, this sort of thing, and it's, you know, not something you want to talk about with your buddies at the cottage necessarily, but you don't have to. There's a reason why the jingle's out there, and I think it's one of those things where I think marketing, you need to market this because people need to know you exist. But if this podcast helps put name into the forefront, don't wait, okay? And I don't need to know about it. I'm sure privacy, we were talking about before, privacy is key to his business, just like a doctor. But make your money problems go away with welker.ca. And brother, I really
Thanks, bud.
appreciate you
my
coming
pleasure.
through.
Thanks for having me in.
Thank
It
you
was
so
awesome.
much.
Had fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.